Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. 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 Infamy.
Hi guys, well today it's all about the M1 helmet. I'm going to give you some tips and little bits and pieces information on the M1 helmet, okay? Now this here is the Kelly helmet. That helmet was in use on that day when Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, okay? So then that kind of put the Americans into the Second World War. Now when the Americans went in the Second World War, they wanted a new look helmet. So it's goodbye Kelly helmets. And there you go, the M1 U.S American helmets. Yeah, the M1 helmets are lovely helmet. These helmets were non-magnetic shell, and then they had stainless steel rims with the front seam. And they were covered in cork. I'll show you the pictures after all about this. And there you go. Olive drab as well, the colour. There was different shades of olive drab going through the Second World War. As you can see in the background there. All those in the background of the Second World War. Okay. And then you had the OD3 straps. 7 as well, OD7 straps. The colour that is. And then you had on the helmet here, which I can show you. You see like the little J-hook, and this is a fixed barrel as well. So yeah, it's sewn on straps. There's no swivel barrel on these. Those came into like 1944 swivel barrels, and the fixed barrels kind of finished what sort of like the end of 43. So for the Schluders, they started with this fixed barrels in 43. Which didn't last long. They went to the swivel barrels the same time as the McCord. Now this one is actually a Schluder. Going back to the McCord helmet, I'm just going to show you about the heat stamps, where to find them. Okay, inside the helmet at the front, just on the curve of the visor here, that's where the heat stamp will be. Okay, sometimes they're really hard to find. Sometimes I see them on the side here as well. So what you have a good look around, okay? And then you'll see them. When the M1 helmet was made in the Second World War, what they did, they start adding cork, little chips of cork into the paint. And they put it on the helmets. Now the reason why they did this, because before the helmet was a little bit shiny, as most probably I can show you there was some cork missing. There's a little bit of like shine there, okay? And as I can show you on this other helmet here, this is not corked. Now you can see the glare coming off the lights above me there. And if I go back to this one again, you can't see the glare. So they added this to make a rugged sort of look. And stops the moon shine, stops the sun shining. See, as I turn the helmet around, see, you can see where the cork's missing. See where it's shining a bit there? That's why they added the cork. Okay, different shades of olive drab. There you go. This is my very, very early helmets. This is a 79A, which is 1942 February. You see that? It's kind of like quite a light green one. And then you're going back into this one. This is quite dark. This one. This is another olive drab. As you can see, there's different shades of olive drab. That's totally a different colour, that one. I think that's faded, that one, because the paint did fade in the end. These ones over here as well. And some helmets were obviously camouflaged as well. Camouflage paint on there. I've got another one down there as well. And if I just step back and just show you, you can see the different shades as I step back. Now the ones on the floor, except that one there, that's the Second World War one, all the rest are Vietnam or Korean. Because the Vietnam one was pea green, which I'll be doing another video on the Vietnam War and the Korean War era. But today, Second World War. Late 1944 to 45, the stainless steel rim was booted out, and then the magnesia rim was put in, and the seam was at the back. The reason why they did that, because the paint kept on chipping on the stainless steel, so then they changed it and it stayed on. Yeah, I'm talking about those punch dots in the rim there. See the center of the bale there? You just see a punch dot. Now that indicates to show that the fixed bale was going to be fixed there, central of that dot. Okay, now you'll see those on early helmets that had fixed bales. When the swivel bales come in, you did not see them, they were gone. So check your helmets after 44, you'll not see that dot. But also look at your helmets that have got fixed bales. And also, if you've got helmets that have swivel bales and they have that punch dot there, that means it was a fixed bale and it's early helmets. They've been updated to put swivel bales on. Here on the Schluder, you do not see a punch dent because the Schluders, they didn't put the punch dents in the fixed bales. So if you've got a Schluder, you will not see one there. This is a 1943 helmet. The M1 heat stamp chart, McCord. Okay, now if you look at this on your left hand side, it will give you numbers from 100 to 1300. Now have a look at your helmets if it's a McCord, and have a look at the heat stamp where I told you before in the video, and you got this little chart here will say. So if you had a helmet like 200 to 300, the heat stamp, that's going to be like July 1942 to September. Okay, so this will give you like a little sort of idea what year your helmet is. Now some people say that the heat stamp is not the dating system. What it is, it was for the sheets of metal that were used at the factory as a number lot. So you can either take it both ways if you want to use it as a dating chart, or you just go with everybody else and think it's just the metal lots. But I use it as a dating because it does kind of tell me near enough the date of the helmet. Know your helmets. Okay, in this photo here, you'll see 3 bales. Well, I'm only going to ask you about the 2 bales, number 1, number 2. Right, which one is the Schluter and which one is the McCord fixed bale? Number 1 is the Schluter and number 2 is the McCord. Now number 1, if you look at it, can you see the curve in the fixed bale there? That will tell you it's a Schluter, okay? Now you look at the McCord where it's like a rectangle, kind of like a squarish. That tells you it's a McCord, okay? And also remember guys, if you have a helmet that's rear seam, you think, oh, it's Vietnam or Korean, okay? Well, no, because that's going towards like late 44 to 45, what they did, they changed the helmet. They changed the stainless steel seam and they put magnesium rim on it, and they also put it back to a rear seam, okay? So the front seam was a no-no, it went to rear seam, and the stainless steel was gone, and the rim is the same as the helmet, magnesium. Okay, so there you go guys. So this is quite a late helmet. This is very late actually. This is a heat stamp is 1232C, okay, so that's March 1945. So there you go guys. Don't sell your helmet if you're thinking it's Korean or Vietnam War. Have a good look at it, have a look at the heat stamp. When you have a good look at your helmet, okay, look around, just have a look to see if you can see any like decals underneath what's been painted over, you know, and just see if you can just see anything showing. Any white stripe at the back, any decals on the sides, any captain there, and also have a look inside as well. If I just show you there, just zoom in and have a look, and you'll see a name and the laundry number. Okay, now when I looked inside this helmet, I saw some like bubbly sort of paint, and I thought, well, hang on, now I can see a couple of letters there, you know. So what I did, I lightly put like paint stripper, very light. As soon as I put it on, it was like 5 seconds, take it off. So I put it on, took it off pretty quick. And I haven't taken it right down to the paint there, it's just that I left it otherwise, just in case I take some of the numbers off. And this is a Randolph Smith, and it's got his number here, which, you know, there's a couple of numbers that you can't see, you know, so it kind of mucks it up. So yeah, so if you see, if you look in your helmets and you just see like a bubbly line going along and then a gap and most probably something else, just have a look. You might be surprised, and you might see a name or number there, okay? Sometimes you have them on the straps as well. I have got a couple here with names and numbers on straps. Yeah, as I say, just have a good look. And I've noticed when I'm looking at the helmets in the photos. Now, when I bought this one at the shop, I thought, yeah, that's all right. It's been sort of like painted over a bit like. And on this side, if you could just there, if I just zoom in and show you, there you can see the 3rd Army decal, okay? So I thought, crikey, that's brilliant. And I only noticed that in the photo. Just looking at it like that, I didn't notice it. I just saw some like, you know, I thought it was a bit of paint there. But when I looked at the photo, I could see the A and the blue and the red and the, you know, and the circle. I thought, my God, that is brilliant. So take photos of your helmets, okay? Look at them. You might see something in there. A shadow might catch where they've been painted, you know, painted on the helmet and then painted over. Sometimes it casts a shadow of the paint. It's slightly risen a bit, okay? And you might see that you start like seeing like a shape of something. Well, then, you know, maybe you've got a decal on your helmet. Just check that out. And I have got graffiti helmets here and everything, you know. And also, if you get helmets, you know, it's dented like that. I'll keep this one. I have taken a couple of dents out of my helmets, and they look absolutely brilliant. I'll take the dent out, and not one knock, and it comes out. If your helmet and you're knocking and knocking and knocking, don't. If it's just one knock and it pops out, brilliant. And that's what I've done. But I won't do it with this one because, you know, I want a helmet that looks like battle damage. I call this the brain helmet, okay? It's also got graffiti on the side. That's a 1944 helmet. So, yeah, keep them, okay? If you've got like a really good helmet and you think, oh, I don't want any dings in it, just try with a wooden, what I use is one of those pounders that ties have in a bowl. I can't remember what it's called now. It's got a rounded edge and it's wooden. Get a hammer and I hit the thing right. I get it right bang in the middle and I go bang. No more, popped out. It's brilliant. No paint crack, nothing. So it's gone quite normal. Put my hand over it, absolutely brilliant. And then I see another one, bang, just one bang. Feel it? Brilliant. Bang, brilliant. Not bang, 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 bang. Don't do that. You either split the panes or you split the helmet or something will happen. If you just do one knot and that's it. If you think, oh God, no, don't do it, just leave it. Or just leave it. I mean, I felt like, oh, I don't want to really do it, you know, but it made my helmets look 100 times better and I wouldn't really recommend it to do it. Only if you really want to, okay? Just leave the helmet like it is. Battle damage, brilliant. I love it. I love stress cracks. Never fill up the stress cracks. Always leave them, okay? Shows history as the dents. And there's me telling you to knock them out. But there you go, guys. Yeah, there's all my helmets there sitting there. And I'm going to be logging off now, and I hope you guys like this video. It's just like little tips and that, yeah. It's not like the history of the helmet. It's just tips and just showing you bits and pieces. Really like for beginners guide this video. And I hope you like it, and I hope you share, like, thumbs up, and tell your mates. And I need more subscribers. More subscribers make me want to make more videos. There you go. Okay, guys, I'll catch you later, right? That's my wife. Must be lunchtime.
A new helmet for a new war. The 1940 Defense Mobilization brought new interest in helmet development. Army Ordnance magazine noted, it was apparent that a wash basin type helmet, originally designed to protect soldiers in trenches from fragments of shells bursting overhead, would not be adequate in a war of movement where missiles could come from all directions, even from below. As in the case of parachute troops, the year 1940 also brought a new Assistant Secretary of War, Robert P. Patterson, who well recalled the doughboy helmet's faults. The former 77th Infantry Division captain remembered the helmet as awkward, uncomfortable, and prone to fall off in skirmish runs. Patterson closely followed the new helmet's progress, even to the extent of halting M1917A production until the replacement arrived. Charged with developing a new helmet, the Infantry Board wisely tackled the problems of both helmet and suspension system concurrently. In a report on the helmet, the board stated, research indicated that the ideal shaped helmet is one with a dome-shaped top following the full contour of the head and supplying uniform headroom for indentation, extending down the front to cover the forehead without impairing vision, and down the sides as far as possible to be compatible with the rifle line, etc., and down the back as far as possible without pushing the helmet forward when in a prone position, and with a frontal plate flanged forward as a cap-style visor and the sides and rear flanged outward to deflect rain from the collar opening. Following these requirements, the designers simply took the M1917A1, acceptable for protecting the top of the head, cut off the brim and added the sides and the front and back flanges. The addition of a removable insert worn between head and helmet first appeared in 1932 during tests of the failed 5A. In 1940, the Army designers, at the suggestion of General George Patton, turned to the American playing field, borrowing the Riddle Suspension system invented and patented by John T. Riddle, owner of a Chicago football supply manufacturing company. The Army Ordnance Department created a plastic impregnated fiber liner containing the Riddle Suspension system. Covered with an olive drab cloth and fitted with an adjustable headband, the liner slipped snugly inside the helmet. In February 1941, the Infantry Board reported favorably on the first test helmet with liner designated the TS3, Test Section Model 3. The helmet's outer shell, made of the same Hatfield manganese steel used in the doughboy helmet, acquired new specifications. Tests at the Aberdeen Proving Ground indicated the new helmet would resist penetration by a 230 grain caliber .45 bullet with a velocity of 800 fps. An improvement over the old helmet's resistance to a .45 bullet at 600 fps. The steel outer shell weighed 2.3 pounds, and the liner 0.7 of a pound for a total of 3 pounds. On April 30th, the helmet was standardized, and on June 9th, approved as helmet, steel, M1. The Ordnance Department supervised the procurement and development of the outer shell, while the Quartermaster Department managed the development and production progress of the liner and suspension device. The first contract for the helmets went to the McCord Radiator Company of Detroit, Michigan. Tests and modifications. The GIs reacted positively to their new headgear. The M1 helmet not only reduced or eliminated the rocking tendency so well remembered by Secretary Patterson, but also did not interfere with firing the rifle from any position, did not obscure the field of vision too greatly, and was more comfortable to wear. The new helmet's development corresponded with the Army's National Guard mobilization and the nation's first peacetime draft. The Army needed helmets quickly, but new helmet production could not begin until mid-1941. The War Department had no choice but to order the manufacture of 904,020 of the M1917A helmets during the first half of 1941. But the old tin hats soon made way for the new steel pot. The helmet M1 went into full production in August 1941, and by VJ Day a total of 22,363,045 had rolled off the assembly lines. According to Army historian Harry G. Thompson, it was a record for quantity production. The liner, however, traced a slightly rougher history. In the summer of 1941, the original liner, developed as a plastic-impregnated fiber hat worn under the helmet, proved inadequate. Consequently, the standardization branch of the Office of the Quartermaster General OQMG enlisted the aid of several private firms to experiment with various plastics. In 1942, a regular plastic liner was developed, although this too had problems. The Army's Research and Development Branch, the successor to the Standardization Branch, worked diligently to improve the liner by adding an adjustable headband, eliminating pressure points, and coating the liner with textured paint less reflective than the original. Their efforts finally produced a successful liner. During the first stages of helmet and liner development, the OQMG sought to add a woolen head covering for warmth in winter. A knitted cap was adopted as a standard item in February 1942. But the Chief of Infantry disliked the cap, and in October 1942 the Army began the search for an all-purpose field cap. In the early months of 1943, using a ski cap as a starting point, the OQMG created a windproof, water-repellent poplin cap with a stiffened sun visor, which gave protection to the eyes without protruding beyond the helmet liner, field cap. M1943 along with a new pile cap of improved military characteristics designed for wear in extreme cold, became standard and replaced several different field caps then in. A modification to the M1's chin strap hook fastener resulted after combat experience in the North African campaign. Too rigid, the fastener remained intact when subjected to the concussion of nearby explosions. With the helmet fastened to the chin, the explosion's impact jerked the head back, resulting in fractures and dislocations of the cervical vertebra. Army Ordnance redesigned the strap with a ball and clevis release device that would remain closed during normal combat activities but would allow for quick voluntary release or automatic release at pressure considerably below the accepted level of danger. Subjected to the Ordnance engineers' rigorous and extensive testing, the new ball and clevis device ultimately released at a pull of 15 pounds or more and was standardized in 1944. Performance as a helmet and a steel pot during the war. Soldiers forced to live off the land with what they had quickly found other uses for the new helmet: a wash basin, cooking pot, and a latrine. Climbing from a foxhole during a barrage was dangerous for any reason. But more important for the average GI, the new helmet proved a lifesaver. A post-war Army report found the M1 helmet cut battle casualties by 8% or 76,000 soldiers. More than half would have been killed in action. Sergeant Emilio Pucci of the 11th Airborne Division was one of them. In February 1945, during the retaking of Corregidor Island in the Philippines, Sergeant Pucci charged a Japanese position. His men saw him go down and noted the round hole in the center of his helmet. When another sergeant asked for Pucci, one of the men said, "He's dead. Shot through the head." A few minutes later the dead Pucci rose up with a tremendous headache but otherwise unhurt. The bullet's force had spent itself penetrating the steel helmet and had rattled around between helmet and liner, falling out the back. When the M1 helmets began rolling off the assembly lines in 1941, the old tin hat, like an old soldier, began to fade away, turning up on the heads of air raid wardens and civil defense workers. But fate dealt a bad hand to the old helmet during the war's early months. The doughboy helmet, worn victoriously by the EF in World War I, became emblematic in World War II of surrender and defeat. The photographs of American soldiers on baton and corregidor wearing the M1917A1 helmets, hands raised in surrender, will forever mark the tragic early days of World War II. The old helmet remains a historical marker of America's military unpreparedness. Similarly, when the United States launched the nation's first offensive ground action at Guadalcanal, the 1st Marine Division splashed ashore wearing the new M1 steel pot, forever marking the GI helmet as a symbol of victory in World War II.